So the 7 factors that I've looked at through my experience with other companies has been, first 3 are about your customer, what works for your customer. The next 3 are about what works for you. So the first is customer risk perception. Do they think you are a risky proposition? Early stage companies, many times, people don't take a bet on. And that's why they move to something like a usage-based pricing. You say, pay for what you use. If you like it, keep it. Ad conversion. Sometimes people will say ads. Only when we convert, you make money, then we will get the revenue. So early stage companies sometimes have to do that. So the question is, how risky does your buyer think you are? Second is mental anchors. I'll share an example of difference of customer service software. I used to, 5 years ago, I used to work with a company called HelpShift. They were Pune, US company. And there was another company that started after, it was called Customer with a K. And they were also creating customer service software, but for retailers and merchants. So similar software. Historically, customer service software is sold on per agent basis. So customer, even they had some podcasts, they said, we wanted to innovate our pricing, but the customer, their customers, clients don't think any differently. They're always going to pay per agent. So that limits the ticket size for their software. If you're selling on the Salesforce ecosystem, everybody's going to always compare you to the 150 or 165 now dollar license that Salesforce has. But at that point, HelpShift suffered a lot after that. But at that point, HelpShift was making customer service chat software for gaming applications and was selling to product managers of companies like Supercell. So product manager said, okay, my metric can be 100,000 MAU, per 100,000 MAU, not by per agent. So the same thing that was being sold for 20,000 was now being selling for $2 million. And the product manager was fine, I have a big game. I need the help. It's an application that I can't build. I'm going to give you the money. So mental anchors change a lot. And we try to actually start a product in the Salesforce app ecosystem. And we're like, I don't know, like it's impossible because you can't have a good price point. And you keep fighting with people for lower and lower price points, even for a complex enterprise product. So anchoring, it is problematic, but you have to figure out whether the customer is anchored or not. If not, if it's blue ocean, then you have a lot more room to play with because then you can do outcome-based or then you can do other value-based methods and you can see what works for the customer. Now, third is obvious, but alignment with value. So customer needs to feel that as they win, they will pay you more, not if they're not winning. In my book, you'll read the example of mixed panels. So this is when I was writing what was happening in the company. They had some Medium posts on that as well, that they always, for product analytics, charge on a per event basis. But as they were going to more Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, the companies were saying that, hey, our events are going up, our bills are going up, but we are not winning. And we are not making more money. So they changed it at some point to monthly tracked users, to say when you have more users on your website, then you pay more. That is a better measure for alignment. So you can still have usage-based pricing and have the wrong metric if it is not aligned to the buyer. So these 3 are factors to look at from the customer's point of view. But it's not just about the customer, it's also about what works for you. So the next 3 are about what works for you. So what is the consumption pattern? I was giving you the example of taxi versus owning a car. That is like, what sort of product do you have? Does anybody even use your product? Because if they think your product is important, they may not use it, but still value it, and it will be a sticky product. Like a lot of ERP softwares, like there are a lot of things a company buys that says, we need this, but we may not use it. Like how much compliance software are you actually going to use? So some things are bought in a certain way. So you need to see how much is it being used. Next is the cost, which is the question that you were asking. Now in GenAI, there is so much development cost, but there is so much cost to serve these models. And that has also been the case in infrastructure as a service software. So their margins immediately can change. So if you do user-based pricing, this is why now none of the AI players, especially the enterprise players, are not offering per user. And the people who are saying, oh, this is free, everybody's sort of scratching their heads and say, why are you offering this free? Because it's so expensive. Or how are you doing this so cheaply? So traditional application layer software is not that expensive. The hosting fee is a little bit investment. And as you scale, the gross margin for application layer software is like 96%, 97%, or even higher. So there it is easy. But if you are working on new AI type of products and you're building models, you're experimenting different things, you may actually have no option but to have usage-based pricing, because usage will track with cost. but user will not track with cost. And additionally, what's happening is, if you're going to get their people fired, now you cannot charge by user because their success is not going to be proportional to the number of employees in the company. And that may start happening even more. There was an article by this person, Jamin Ball, who is a sort of popular Substack author, and he had this article called now is user-based pricing dead? It may die at some point, right? There was somebody raised their hand. No? Okay. And then competitive action. So if your things may be fine, but if one competitor comes in with a new metric that is getting adoption, then you may have no room. Like a lot of these players that I spoke about, I don't know, but I think Mixpanel and Amplitude are having some sort of price war. There are other people I've interviewed for my podcast, GitLab, and they had something going on. Or no, there was the same person was talking about Mandrill. It was an email sending application, and they had a price war with another company. So if you're having a price war, and if they are offering more innovative pricing, then you may have just no option. You just may have to move to something else or offer another alternative. These are sort of 6 things. I would say make candidate lists if you are in the process of figuring out your pricing metric, and then check across all of this and take a call of what you think works. Sometimes people just think about the customer. Sometimes people just think about themselves. So make a balanced decision of what aligns the value. And finally is implementation. Smaller companies, not that big a deal. Even the development team can handle it. But almost every interview I've done with pricing leaders at larger companies, and my own experience is, engineering doesn't care about pricing. They will never put it on the roadmap. And you can, we had our GM of the business unit advocate for a pricing change, and engineering still did not listen. And so you want to do all the fancy things, but fancy things will not happen. And because there is a lot of tech debt involved in this, and you do not want to take a decision that takes you years to implement, given how fast we want to move.